All right, so recently I kind of took a walk down memory lane and was reminiscing about all the old smartphones that I've owned over the years. And the first one, well, technically the second one, the first one I owned was a Motorola Droid, but I only had that for like 6 months. This iPhone 4S, not this one in particular, but the iPhone 4S was my first like smartphone that I actually used and was up to date. I got this in 2012. Again, not this particular one, but I really wanted an iPhone. I had iPod touches before that, so I was well acclimated to iOS and knew what it was about and everything. iPods are basically, or back then, they were basically just iPhones without the phone, literally, and the camera until the fourth gen. But anyway, I got myself a 4S because the one I originally owned, I had lent to somebody and I didn't end up getting it back, but that's neither here nor there. This is basically the same exact phone I had back then. I have the original box, which I'm using as a stand right now, but yeah, it was a 16 gigabyte black 4S, and that's what I got here to replace it. Which, by the way, is in beautiful shape. There's hardly a scratch on this thing. The antenna bands and everything are clean, no scuffs or marks or anything like that. The back especially is just, oh, it's really nice. You don't see them like this that often. And I paid a really good price for it, so I figured I couldn't pass up, and I've been wanting one for a while. But the real kicker too with this thing is it's got iOS 6.1.3 on it, which this is basically how I would have received this phone when I opened it, I think for Christmas or something. Yeah, it must have been Christmas because the 5 was out when I got mine, and that released, fall of 2012. So, anyway, what really can you do with these things, though, if they're running iOS 6? The answer is not much unless you jailbreak it, which I was going to do. However, the Internet Archive is down. Pretty much all of the software to jailbreak this on Windows and the actual IPA files, which are iPhone apps, essentially, live on the Internet Archive. And when that's down, I can't download them. So really, there's not much I can do with this thing. I don't want to update it, not only because iOS 9 runs like junk on these, but also because I want it to be essentially how I received it in 2012. So the battery in this thing, surprisingly, isn't that bad. However, because there's no more 3G in the US, this thing constantly searches for a cell signal and it just chews the battery down. If you leave it in airplane mode, standby is still phenomenal. I ran a test on it on coconut battery, and it says it's got like 70% left. So I'm guessing this phone was probably bought in 2012 and like just never used maybe for 1 year. I don't know. But anyway, to the point of this video, what really can you do with these things today if they're running iOS 6 and they're not jailbroken? The answer is not much. There's really not a whole lot you can do. Even I am on Wi-Fi right now, but like weather doesn't work. It just says location unknown. The stock app doesn't work. The iTunes store doesn't work. The App Store doesn't work. You can't do anything. Really, you can't. However, Safari does sort of work. You can like Google things. And to my surprise, you can watch YouTube still on these things. Now, if you know anything about iOS or iPhones, you would know on iOS 6, Apple did some pretty drastic changes, not really to the whole operating system, but to their apps. For one, they pulled the YouTube app out of iOS, so it's no longer built in. They also changed from Google Maps to Apple Maps. And the whole idea was Apple was stepping away from Google. They didn't want to rely on them for anything, so they went and did their own thing with the maps. And if you were around back then, you probably remember how big of a deal that was, because they were terrible when they first came out. People were getting wrong directions, shown roads that didn't even exist. It was just a fiasco. Thankfully, nowadays, they're better, but they still kind of haven't shaken that. I know a lot of people that just don't use them because of that. So, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys how to basically find YouTube videos on this phone. Now, you need to go to Safari, and you just go to google.com, which still loads. and you're just going to type basically what a YouTube video title, for lack of a better term. I did it with my channel because it shows more of a variety of videos. So I'm just going to type in VB7200 YouTube. Hit search. It'll pull up the channel. Now, you don't want to click on that. You want to look for a video that it's pulling up. Like, for example, these are all mine. So we'll pull this one. Now, it doesn't load like the whole page. Like, you can't see views. You can't like it. You can't really do anything besides watch the video. And you'll see here, it basically, again, if you're with iPhones back in the day, you probably know how this goes. But it opens the old player, and you can watch the video. I'm pretty sure it's in like 460p. I don't think it's even 720. But it has sound. You can see more or less what's going on. It's not buffering or jittering or anything like that. It's running pretty smooth. So, I mean, yeah, you can watch YouTube on these things without the YouTube app. Granted, like I said, you're not getting the best quality. You can't like it. You can't even see really who posted it. You can just see the video. And obviously the search function is probably pretty limited. I just searched my own channel and happened to, pull the first video up there just for demonstration purposes. But, I mean, YouTube is pretty good, or I shouldn't say YouTube. Google is pretty good about allowing you to more or less search for a YouTube video in Google and it recommending you the right video. So, though it might be tedious, you can technically use just Google as like the YouTube search and more than likely pull up the video you're looking for. You can't browse them, unfortunately, and just look at your homepage and see what's, the algorithm is throwing at you. But if you know a specific video or a specific content creator or channel that you want to watch, you can search for that and more than likely find it. So, although these things seem utterly, totally useless when they're not jailbroken, they do still have one little use. I would say the compass, but the compass doesn't even work. I shouldn't say it doesn't work, it's just wrong. I don't know if that's down to not having cell service or what. I thought these are supposed to have like a compass, the stuff for the compass in the actual phone is part of the hardware. I guess I was wrong because this, when I compare it to my 15 Pro, which I am filming this on, I get totally different readings. And I've tried calibrating it and everything, and it's gotten close, but it hasn't been perfect, I'll put it that way. But anyway, I just wanted to make this a little blurb here because I found that interesting that this thing can pull up a YouTube video like that, no problem, especially when the browser is just so broken. I mean, you can't even pull up like a Wikipedia page. It just won't do it. And Wikipedia pages, from when I used to mess around on old PowerBooks and stuff, PowerPC architecture, they usually could pull up a Wikipedia page. The iPhone 4S apparently can't. It is trying to load Apple, though. Which, oh, it did load Apple. I'm very surprised about that. Well, maybe I shouldn't say I am. But let's just do... Oh, I see what's going on here. I'm trying to search in the address bar. That's why I'm wondering where the space bar is. It doesn't give you one. This is also a little hard to do through the viewfinder. There we go. I'm pretty sure when I tried Wikipedia on this thing, it did not work. Oh, another thing that does sort of work is Siri. Now, obviously, if you ask it, like, what's the weather like today? It can't pull information from the built-in weather app. Yeah, see, Wikipedia does not work. But it'll Google it for you, so I'll show you that now. What's the weather like tomorrow?
Searching the web for what's the weather like tomorrow.
So it's just going to show me tomorrow's weather, which, again, YouTube, or I'm sorry, Google still shows. So, I mean, yeah, that technically does work. Granted, it's not Siri telling you that, but it kind of is. I don't know. You can classify that how you like. But also asking it, like, the stupid questions. What's your favorite color?
Software doesn't usually get to choose one, but I'll say red. What's yours?
Purple.
That's the hardest color for the human eye to see.
Yeah, so see, like, that stuff still works. But anything asking it to, you know, check weather, stuff like that, if it requires like an app or something, it's not going to work. Or information, it's not going to work. But those are the very limited use for the iPhone 4S running iOS 6.1.3 in 2024. And I will show you there that we are running 6.3.1. Yeah, that's I think one of the last builds of iOS 6. I think there might be a 6.1.5 too, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. I really, like I said, I love these phones, and I'm glad I have another one in my collection. I plan on changing the battery probably down the road just to keep it fresh. I really would love to keep this phone going as long as I can. Once the Internet Archive is back up, I will be jailbreaking it and sideloading apps, mostly just old iOS games, because really anything else ain't going to work. If it needs a server or something to talk to, it doesn't matter if you can download the app or not. It's not going to work. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you'd like to see more.